Hello everyone, welcome back to Talking Reds, and we have some big news. Reacting to big news that came out yesterday. David Ornstein and also Melissa Reddy today from Sky Sports coming out to confirm sort of what we knew yesterday, what David Ornstein quoted yesterday. Was it yesterday or this morning? I've slept since.
Yesterday
wasn't
evening.
it? Yesterday evening. Yeah, David Ornstein came out and said that Liverpool have indeed offered Mohamed Salah and Virgil Van Dijk new deals, and the Trent one is still ongoing, and it's still not so much of an offer being offered yet for Trent, but it's getting there. It's getting on the right direction. And Melissa Reddy said that as well today, because she basically confirmed it today with what Ornstein said yesterday, that like the Van Dijk and Salomons are more down the line, whilst Trent it's a bit more difficult because of the Real Madrid interest and things. I think does this give you more optimism now going forward, Stu, of these offers? Because did Salah's pressure work in the end?
You know what? Actually, I think him and Remy Abbas have played a bit of a blinder. To be honest, they've used. I think they've used the public sway, the supporter base, to put a little bit more pressure on the higher ups on the club, which quite rightly so. I don't know why they were dragging their feet. I mean, it's better late than never, I suppose, but it should never have got to this point ever. We know that.
No.
But it is looking positive. It is looking positive, and I'm going to stick my neck out in the line. I think I already put a tweet out about it saying that I think all three contracts will be signed by the end of the week before the Fulham game. I'm feeling that optimistic about it, but hey, we'll see.
That would be perfect in terms of right now. It's perfect. It's a perfect ending to sort of the year, but like you said before, it shouldn't have even got to this stage. The fact that it has got to this stage, and the fact that it has got to Salah coming out and saying something a couple of times is quite. I want to say embarrassing. I want to say embarrassing because it is embarrassing, and it's quite neglectful of that. It shouldn't have even a legend of the club, really a legend of the club, and probably one of the best players that ever played for the club, to come out and have to do that. It's just embarrassing, and it's just disrespectful if I'm really honest. However, if we do get it done, that's exactly what we need. Get it sorted. However, we don't know if they're going to accept these contracts. That's the thing. And right now, the contracts have been made, and knowing the ownership we have got, do you think they are going to be acceptable contracts?
I think so. I don't think it's going to be too far off the mark. The way I understand it is, I think Van Dijk got his contract offer first. So in my mind, the way I'm looking at it logically is, if Van Dijk got the contract offer first, his is probably the most simplistic of contract offers, and then it was Trent and Salah virtually together-ish. I think Trent was before Salah and Salah was the last. I think the Salah one is more complicated by the fact that he is not your average 32-year-old footballer coming to the end of his career, so to speak. He is still a freak of nature, world-class player, up in the lines of like Ronaldo and Messi, fitness levels, easy. That is undisputable, and I think that is probably what has complicated matters, because they've looked at it from a normal standpoint of renewing contracts for your star players and all that sort of stuff. But he's a different entity altogether, and there ain't any other player like him in the world. And I think that is what has complicated matters a little bit for it, and that's where they've tried to rejig it, because Salah's obviously going to come in and go, look, I want a little bit of a wage rise, but I'm not going to take the mick. He's clearly not interested in going to Saudi for the mega money. So it's not about that, really. It's probably more about the bonuses and the ambition of the club that he wants to see now that Klopp's gone. So I think that's where we stand. The Trent one is going to be the most difficult one, sadly. It depends where his loyalties are eventually going to lie. I don't know which way that one's going to go, but I'm the optimistic side of me saying all three will sign by the end of the week.
You made a good point there about Salah. It's not usually the way that they do things. Do you think they were planning on letting Salah go despite until this year, until what they're doing what he's doing on the pitch? I think
that's a fair shout. I don't think they expected him to come flying out the blocks the way he did. And to adapt to not a new system, but these new little tactical tweaks that Slot's done compared to Klopp, bringing Salah in a little bit deeper and a little bit more central sometimes, but then also pushing him further out to use his vision and his assisting ability. And we've seen his numbers this year. They're off the charts, and I think that's just proven to him. And again, yes, probably made things a little bit more complicated in the negotiations, that he is still top level, and he will be top level for at least another 2 to 3 seasons. Easy.
And that's the difference when we do have football people in those sort of positions. I know we saw like Edwards and Richard Hughes seem to be like they don't give a shit what happens on the pitch and more like thing, but they must have a little bit of a football brain to see what Salah's doing right now and say, hang on a second, we do need to change what we're doing here because he is doing a little bits. It would be interesting to see what these actually offers are and whether they have changed the mindset in terms of how they offer this, because if it's lowballing, then they still haven't really changed the ways of the age. You know what I'm saying? They could easily give him like a 1-year contract and about 200k a week or something like that, and he'd not accept it. We don't know what the offers are. We just know that they finally have offered like a month away from where they're going to speak to other clubs for free. A month away, they finally offered these contracts, which is absolutely crazy if you think about it.
It's like 3.5 weeks until January, and it's like
no other club works like this, Stu. No other club works like this. I'm absolutely certain no other club works like this. And there has been occasions where clubs have let the players go for free, and the fans didn't want it to happen, but they must have known about it happening, and they said they'd have been happy to let it happen. But when your 3 best players, I've never seen in my lifetime 3 best players of a club 3 weeks away from talking to other clubs for free and having to come out in the press and say stuff. I've never seen that in my lifetime.
Well, we've said it before, and I said it weeks and weeks ago, that I fully expected all these contracts to be tied up before the last international break. It didn't happen. Or during the last international break. Again, it didn't happen. And as the time has been ticking down, yes, it is good news to hear that the contract's been offered. But again, like we said, it shouldn't have got to this point. Nowhere near to this point, with our 3 main players, our captain, our vice captain, and our star striker / winger, who has been one of the best players in the world for the last near on a decade. And it's got down to this. The amount of fire that the Liverpool board would have to deal with if these 3 left on a free would be monumental. And another thing I think on the Salah side of things as well is another thing, because they are very data driven. Hughes and Edwards, they are very data driven. They've probably wanted a little bit more time to have a look at the data on Salah and who could actually replace him and for what price. And frankly, there's nobody picking up those numbers.
But there's no one going to pick up those numbers for a long time. Really, if you think about it.
No, that's true. But they've probably looked at it and thought, if he goes for free in the summer, who is likely going to replace him and replace those numbers? Are we going to have to buy 1 player in, or 2 or 3 players to pick up the slack?
I literally did a video last night, which is just out an hour ago. So if you are watching this tonight, it was released at 2:00. This is going to be released tonight about 6-7, obviously, but it was released at 2:00 today, early on today. So please watch it if you are. And I was talking about what Liverpool need to prioritise in the transfer window, whether it be January or summer. It all depends on keeping these 3 as well, because if we're to lose Van Dijk and Salah, for example, a centre back and right wing would need to be prioritised. However, I also mentioned about getting a striker. Do we replace those goals through a striker rather than a right winger? Get a right winger as well, but a striker that can score goals, because Nunes isn't doing it, and Jota's always not available. Someone's going to need to pick up those goals. Diaz and Gakpo can score goals every now and then, and they do a good job in terms of getting their record. But we need Salah numbers.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. We need to replace those Salah numbers in terms of output, and I'm talking assists as well as goals. So. Whether it be a striker to come in to replace
if you're looking at players who are going to replace those numbers, okay, let's take a couple of examples, the likes of Marmoush, Maximilian Bayer, or Jonathan Burkhardt in Germany, or Marcus Thuram at Inter Milan, Gyökeres at Sporting. All these players are going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah,
a lot of money, and they're not all tried and tested in the Premier League. The only one who I think could actually, and I've seen a lot of people.
I think there's two in the Premier League that I'm looking at in terms of strikers. Anyway,
who would be your picks then?
Isak and Duran.
Duran's a good shout, but I think he's still a little bit raw.
He's still raw, yeah.
Isak, I would take in a heartbeat if it wasn't for his injury record. And that is the only thing that puts me off. I think Isak is a phenomenal player, but it's his injury record that it makes me a little bit wary. But to replace those numbers, you'd have to pay big money.
Yeah.
So they've probably looked at it and gone, well, we don't like spending money, so we might as well try and put.
Are you on about the right ownership here?
Well, okay, let's say they're frugal with the money, and they've decided, okay, we'll put some of this into the contract offer instead, because there really isn't the right player to go and fit that replacement, so to speak, for Salah. So it may have been them just being very cautious about it, but I also think Salah had a lot to do with it. Being public about it was a bold move. Some people said it's not the right move, but in this instance,
if he's got them working, it is.
It is. And everybody knows that he's happy at the club. He don't want to leave. His family is settled on Merseyside. So why would he want to leave? And the club is going places this season, at the very least, if not in the future seasons as well. He wants to be part of that. So I don't understand why this has been such a bloody big issue, to be honest. Because you say, okay, yeah, he's 32. He's on 350 grand a week. Okay, you stay on that, or we bump you up to 375. We'll give you a little bit of a wage up, but you have to understand that at the age you're at, you're not going to be getting top dollar anymore. You can stay consistent on your wages and then drop down after a couple of years.
It should be all about bonuses at that age. I think exactly. Bonuses are a bit, and if he's performing on the pitch, he's going to get the bonuses.
Yeah, I'd say Van Dijk is probably the one that I'm most comfortable about, because I think he's just like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm pretty certain he is a guarantee that he will sign. I think Salah will definitely sign. The Trent one, though, it's going to be complicated. You got bloody Bellingham in his ear. You got Madrid in his ear, talking about how nice the weather is in Spain. You probably got Zubimendi telling him that the hills are very nice there as well.
And the thing is with Trent, right? If he's going to have a lot of hate if he leaves. Because Scouser is expected to be captain at some point, but there's still a little bit of understanding of why he is leaving from my point of view, because of the ambition. If I'm questioning the ambition of the club, these players must do it at some point. You know what I'm saying? And again, yes, we're top of the league right now, and we are title favourites. However, we didn't go into this season, I don't think, fully prepared, and not say fully prepared, but I don't think it's sort of the best tools to do it. I think is again like Klopp, where he's getting the best out of what he's got, and Gravenberch adapting the game has changed everything. He's got away massively with that not getting a DM, but I think it's starting to show now with regard to DM, because Newcastle game, Gravenberch was out on his feet a little bit, and there's pockets in front of the defence that's starting to show now where we need a DM. Again, we're left back because Robbo's is just not doing it. He had a brilliant game against Man City, Robbo, but then again back in Newcastle, it was terrible again. And at some point, he's going to start costing us points, which he did against Newcastle. And I'm hoping it doesn't carry on that way. I hope it would bounce back quite quickly against Fulham. I'm glad we didn't pay the Everton. I think it was a perfect game to bounce back at Merseyside Derby, but the conditions and Everton away being the last Merseyside Derby at Goodison would have been a bad game to play after a drop pointing game.
Not in that weather. That weather on the weekend would have played right into Sean Dyche's hands.
It would have done. Yeah, massively.
So I'd say it's worked out pretty well. And the way the weekend's gone with all the results and the contract news coming through, it's been near enough a pretty perfect weekend without even kicking the ball around. So,
but as always, though, Stu, as a Liverpool fan, you can't really get too excited.
I'm trying not to.
We could easily get carried away and say, yes, 3 contracts sorted, top of the league, everyone's dropping points by Chelsea, and we're going to win the league, we're going to win the lot, and we've got 3 contracts sorted. It's all looking good. But by the end of the week, these contracts might not be good enough to offer. They all deny them. We've dropped points against Fulham at home, Chelsea and Arsenal. That's what could happen at the end of the week. Football's a funny game, and I said in last night's video as well that Fulham isn't an easy game. When I did Talking Rivals, Fulham's not an easy game, regardless of whether Anfield or not. They're a very hot and cold team. You know what Fulham's going to turn up, and they could easily surprise. They've got some talented players that can get a goal from nothing. They're a bit like, I think they remind me of Brighton a little bit, but I don't think it's as good as Brighton, but they remind me a little bit of Brighton. And we found that difficult.
It's always been a tough place for us as well. We've always struggled going there, so it's not that will not be an easy game.
Yeah, we've got Forest in January.
Ooh.
Away. We've got Forest and Brentford away in January. And now looking at Chelsea's fixtures, they've got an easy, quiet running right now of Christmas period.
But no, actually, I think I was looking at Chelsea's fixtures, and I think Chelsea, their key time is going to be mid-February to the start of April.
Yeah.
That fixture list run that they've got there, that's going to be their toughest part, and I think that's where we'll see them slip up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think...
But get these contracts done, first and foremost, get these results ticking over. That's all we need to do. But these contracts, we've said it over and over and over again, that they shouldn't have got to this point. It's now December, 3 weeks away from January, where they can speak to clubs for free. And this, yes, they've offered it now, but there's 3 weeks now to get them actually sorted properly.
Yeah.
That first offer might be a negotiation tactic where we're trying to lowball them. We don't know yet. We'll know what the offers were. It could take 3 weeks again to negotiate, and that's what I'm saying. So it could take a whole 3 weeks to a month to negotiate these contracts to what both sides agree on. And when it's taking that long to negotiate, once the first offer's been made, they could still potentially be available to speak to people for other teams for free in January. Because it's that last minute. We're doing lastminute.com here. It's that last minute with this. We're playing with fire by being that close to the time where they can speak to, just in case how long the negotiations start. This is only the start of negotiations where an offer is being made. And you go back and forth, and it's getting time to do this as well. Right? There's games going on. There's games midweek and at weekends. Obviously between the agents and club, but the players got to get involved as well at some point in talks.
That's why I'm thinking, like, so in my mind, okay, so we've got the Girona game tomorrow, and that's an early one. So the players, I think, are already on their way, or they're on their way there this evening.
Yeah, they got the plane. Yeah.
I think they get the Girona game out of the way. They get back on Merseyside, bit of training during the rest of the week, and I think because we've got Fulham on Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, is it Saturday? Yeah. So I think come Friday afternoon, after training, is when the 3 contracts signed will be announced. That's what I'm keeping my fingers crossed for. But
2 weeks time, and they're still not signed. We're gonna have a fun. We're gonna have an exciting stream, because if they're still not signed, by Boxing Day afterwards, between Boxing Day and New Year's, if they're still not signed, then we're going to see a little bit of sweating on the stream. We're going to see a little bit of workout. It's gonna. You don't know whether you're tuning into Talking Reds or some sort of Peloton event, live Peloton event. We'll see. We'll see when it comes around. A couple of weeks time, 3 weeks time. I don't want to always talk about the contracts, but this is the recent news that David Ornstein came out yesterday. Melissa Reddy at Sky Sports were sort of confirmed what David Ornstein had said, that 3 contracts. Well, the two of the contracts, Virgil Van Dijk and Mohamed Salah, have been offered one. Trent's going in the right direction, I want to say. But that one's a bit more complicated because of the interest of a certain Real Madrid. We're lucky that Van Dijk and Salah are the age they are, because I think Real Madrid will be in for them as well. But it won't surprise me if someone like Real Madrid, or I won't say Real Madrid, but at least a PSG, for example. I think we're sort of lucky that Barcelona and Real Madrid have got wingers in terms of the Salah situation. So they don't need wingers. But it's maybe the centre-back situation for both of them. They may look at Van Dijk. If it was to come available in January, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they at least test the waters and offer him a contract?
Yeah, I don't want that to
happen. They don't even have to offer, like, they're not losing, are they, offering a free contract?
True. That is very true. But
that's what I'd be doing. Even if I was Ipswich, I'd phone up or something.
Oh, they'll have other offers on the table, despite obviously the ruling as it is, saying that you can't discuss anything. They'll still have, their agents will have details of other offers on the table for him without a doubt. But I do feel confident by the end of the week that they'll sign. So that's what I'm sticking with.
Yeah, that boost yesterday certainly gave me a little bit more confidence. I'm never on the wall. I'm never on the wall, but I was more leading towards the fact that I started to accept all three of them were going. If I'm honest, I was starting to slightly accept it. But now Darnsey's done that. It's pushed me on the other side of the wall. It dragged me through over the wall and onto the wall, over Humpty Dumpty, and I'm sort of a little bit further the positive side now. On the positive side of the wall, having crushed Humpty Dumpty on the way through. But whether it happens or not, we've got 3 weeks. Like Stu said, we've got 3.5 weeks until they can speak to other clubs for free. If we don't do it in that time, it's starting to get the pressure on this ownership and this board and get this done, because it's not good enough. Thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you like this channel, like this video, subscribe to the channel, notification bells on. We'll get content out every single day. Hopefully 2 or 3 videos out a day if we can. Talking Reds, talking stats as well, talking quizzes. We're going to have to go on to this week. Hopefully I'm trying to get onto the second round of the quiz. I'm trying to get as many people through as I can to the first round. I've still got to do Willem, and I've got to finish Williams off because the phone went off. Hence why I got a new phone. But let's see if we can get some good content out this week, rather than just news all the time and match reactions. Thank you for watching. We will be the match preview for Girona will be coming out tomorrow morning, hopefully, and the match reaction the day after as well. Okay, thank you everyone for watching, and have a great week, Reds.
Laters.